Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
Make sure you have your heat and air system checked out by Superior Air System. The weather is mild, and make sure that it can endure the coming cold. And that is with Superior Air Systems at 886-6602, 886-6602 in the big orange vans. And Bill Keith and his very intelligent, high-end staff will take care of you, and you don't have to worry about the details one lick. This is David Tulis. We're here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, live on YouTube. You can see whether my bow tie matches and whether Alan Outlaw of Fast Break has a hat that meets his wife's approval, his wife, Catherine. And we're here to bring you an insight into the local economy and how it works, and really making the argument by bringing the entrepreneur into your knowledge, how it is that local economy works and where prosperity is to be found. It is to be found not just in dollars, not just in products. It is to be found in many ways, I'd like to suggest, in relationships. And you will certainly find relationships if you go to Eric Pelton. By the way, he is the accountant, and his business is E.J. Pelton Company, the numbers guy. He's got a branch in Saudi Daisy, near our tower, in fact, in Saudi Daisy. And he helps you keep more of what you've earned at E.J. Pelton Company, online, ejpelton.com. And his number is 622-3156. That's Eric Pelton, 622-3156. Alan Outlaw has been running this shoe run specialty store. It's a kind of a shoe store with a specialization in runners and joggers for many years. Alan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Excited to be here, Dave. Thank you.
Well, tell us about Fast Break. How is it that you provide something that beats the national chains against whom you compete, who have gigantic stores, huge parking lots, giant advertising budgets, and many of the brand names, some of which you may also carry? How is it that you fight this battle for local economy, as if you will, against national economy?
That's an excellent question, David. Particularly, exactly what you just said. Everything that we have in our store at Fast Break, you can purchase it at a big box location. Pretty much, you can buy it online. It's as easy as a click of the button. What we provide that is different and unique to Chattanooga is service. The company founded 1977 by Dick Dillard. We it's strong in service. Customers come in, they seek us out. Doctors send their patients in to see us, they seek us out. Runners come in for training advice, they seek us out because we have the experience and service. My listener has taken up running recently, Alan Outlaw, and is developing some physical problems, and he's thinking he might need to go and see maybe a chiropractor. He's not quite sure where he wants to go, but before he does that, he's heard about your shop down on Cherokee Boulevard, and he comes in and says, let's say he's going to talk to one of your saleswoman, Kirsten Boyd, for example, who's been working there since she was a teenager. He's going to say, Kirsten, I've got these problems running. Here are the problems. Tell my listener what his problems are from running with either wrong shoes or bad habits in running, because you can run the wrong way, I would suppose. What is it that she is going to be telling him? What is she going to ask him? How is the service delivered to my listener? Yeah, typically the first thing we're going to do is listen. There's a few different types of folks that come into the store. There are seasoned, avid runners who come in and have been doing the same thing for a lot of years and have overuse injuries. There's the new runner, the brand new guy that comes in, or gal who comes in and they're 3 weeks into the program that they pulled offline, and they can't understand why their feet are hurting, why their toenails are black, why their shins are having pain. There's a lot of information out there online. In manuscripts that suggest that it could be X, Y, or Z. So the first thing we're going to do when someone comes in is listen to the symptoms and find out if it's just as simple as changing a shoe, or if it's more of a mechanical thing where we can say, hey, let's take a look at your running form. What does running form mean? What does that refer to? Running form is just typically going to be the most efficient way to get you from point A to point B. It's pretty simple. In a car, when you're driving a car, You have 4 wheels in your car, 4 tires that are assembled by lugs, right? If those lugs are loosely fitted on the car, your car is going to become out of alignment, and you're going to make it a certain amount of time until the car falls apart. It's no different. Running is no different than that. It is a sport of efficiency and endurance.
So just putting a nice $95 shoe on your feet and taking off is not necessarily a promise of good health. The feet themselves working back and forth in that shoe might cause problems. So what are, you mentioned black toenails. What is that? Why would my listener have black toenails?
Typically, if you have a black toenail, it's for probably a couple of reasons. The number one thing is small shoes. Typically, small shoes cause large problems. In fact, if your foot's not allowed to spread out and splay out and dissipate the body shock evenly, you're going to jam your foot up against the end of the shoe. The stress on the toe, and then the forefoot is going to become increased, and then you're going to get it is an overuse. It is the epitome of an overuse action.
My listener is right now in his car and he's got his foot on the gas pedal. What is the difference in the size between his foot now in his shoe and his foot when he's pounding the pavement? Let's say down on Cherokee Boulevard, he's running the North Shore. What's the percentage difference in the size in that moment when it hits?
Exactly. So if you were to sit down in your car and your foot is in a relaxed state, upon standing on that one foot in a running motion, you're going to come down between 2 to 3 times your body weight on that one foot, and you're going to do that in 10 minutes worth of running between 600 and 800 times. That's a high level of impact. So giving your foot the opportunity to act as in the way it was designed, which is to dissipate shock, is all we really want to say. To your point about a $95 shoe fixes all the problems, or a $150 shoe fixes all the problems. If that were the case, we would have been out of business a long time ago.
Well, okay, but the question is though, Alan Outlaw, what percentage does the foot expand when it hits the tarmac in the shoe? Okay, does it expand 15%? Is it 5%? How big does that shape of the foot go as it pounds along?
I gotcha. So we don't look at it in percentage because everyone's a little bit different. You have different body weights and different thicknesses of feet. I will say typically between a half to full size difference between where your foot is now and where that is. So, we measure a foot with a Brannick device, and what a Brannick device is, it measures the foot. There you go.
I'm holding one up to the YouTube viewer here.
So a Brannick device measures your foot in 3 different ways. It measures the heel to the toe. That's it. It measures the heel to your ball arch, and your ball arch is the widest point on your foot. It is not the width of your foot, but it's the widest point of your foot. It's the first metatarsal head. So there's a link from there to there, and then there's the width. So a full size length would be on the toe. So if you come into our shop, we're going to say, what size shoe have you currently been wearing? And David, you probably wear a 10
about 11 and a half.
11 and a half. Okay. So I'm going to say to you that you're probably going to measure about a size larger than that on your ball arch. I don't care if you have toes or not. We want to look at the ball arch. And, if we get that correct, usually 9 times out of 10, that's going to subside any kind of issue that you have from a stress standpoint in a shoe. So your foot will expand typically about a size.
The tennis shoe industries back in maybe the 80s or 70s sort of reshaped the habit of running among people in the West. They used to run on their balls of their foot, and we all now run on the heels of our foot. Well, most of us, I guess. Is that right? And does that cause if my listener's a jogger and are you going to deal with his mode of running? Let's say he's a heel guy. He always lands on his heel. Is that a problem that you want to try to help correct, or do you just try to analyze where he is and deal with him in his preconceptions of what the right way to run is?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We never want to change anything that anyone's doing if it's working for them. Anytime we're going to offer any suggestions, it's going to be, it's going to be brought upon, by our customer. They're going to say, hey, I've had shin splints for years and I can't get rid of them. Or, hey, I've had several stress fractures and I can't seem to get rid of them. I just need a cushy shoe to take the impact of that. We're gonna take a couple other avenues and look and see what we can do in particular. Case in point,
I'm holding up here. Let's just so the viewer, the listener, can know what we're talking about. I'm holding in front of my webcam here on YouTube an Ultra shoe. It's a very wide-looking shoe in the ball. It has a kind of feet-looking bottom, and it's very colorful, very light. It's priced at $130. So tell us about this shoe, why you have it here, and how it could maybe help someone like my listener with feet problems.
I thought it might be a great shoe to bring simply because it's simple. It matches the shape of most people's feet. All right. So if you think about, what a shoe is, it's merely protection. It's not an orthotic. It's not a brace necessarily. It is designed to protect the foot. If we didn't have, if we weren't in a society where we needed footwear, we would be barefoot, right? So this shoe in particular accentuates the shape of most people's feet. It's at an angle in which we are naturally inclined, which is 0. All right. So the heel to the forefoot there's no differential between the heel and the forefoot of that shoe. So that is the angle that you would be if you were barefoot. The shoe itself has plenty of midsole, approximately 40 millimeters of midsole. So that's
the middle part right here.
That's right, all the way through. So that shoe is about a shoe and a half worth of cushioning. So it's plenty protective. It's also wide in the forefoot. So your ball arch, we look at it right here, the ball arch measurement I was talking about, that's the widest point of your foot. We simply want to line the widest point of your foot up with the widest point of the shoe. Typically, that gives you more room in the toe. But again, we're not concerned. I don't care if you even have toes. We want to have the widest part of your foot lined up in the widest part of the shoe. Optimal shock dissipation.
So now, Fast Break, run by Alan Outlaw and his partner Zachary Winchester, has 8 to 10 people working. I guess everyone really is there in sales. Is that right? They're all selling these sporting goods.
That's correct. In fact, everyone there is pretty well versed at everything in the shop. It being a small business, everyone can pretty much do everything. We have folks come in daily and say, "I heard that you guys do this. You specialize in the fit process. How? Who's going to help me?" And it gives me a pleasure to say every time anyone here, will be able to take care of you. And that's the benefit of the kind of the folks that we hire. We make sure that those guys are well versed and trained in what's going on.
So now the customer base of your run specialty store, Alan Outlaw, are runners. They gravitate toward your business. Do they come there as consumers, or do they come there as neighbors? How do you relate to them? How do you maintain their patronage? What are some of the things you mentioned? Service, I understand that, but how does that work out of the details? How does my listener who's coming into your shop, how does he come to want to come back? What is it that is part of that relationship or that sale that makes him say, well, I really should try this local business as opposed to the big box store?
Fortunately, we've been blessed with nearly 40 years of being in business, and word of mouth is a very powerful tool. And I want to say it's success. It is someone coming in with a problem, us working together with that person to solve it, and it working, and then telling their friends about it, or a doctor sending a patient in with full confidence that we're going to take great care of them as though we were in the profession ourselves, and us solving the problem and results. Someone comes in with a plantar fasciitis, which is a common overuse injury, or shin splints, which is a common overuse injury, or an outpatient that is just out of surgery that says, I'm in a boot, I need to get through this for a certain amount of time. They come in, we treat them with care, we're nice to them, and we give them what they expected to get, because that's what they heard about us. They leave, they recover, and then they're a customer.
So that's customer service. What about community service? How does a small businessman need to establish his credentials, if you will, as a local player by looking to the larger fabric of, let's say, the county or the city?
I think you can overanalyze that and think that you need to do you have to do something, and folks that we employ over the years, starting with Dr. Dillard. That's what we call him affectionately, Dick Dillard, the founder of the company, through Joey Howe and Michael Green, and countless other guys that have worked at the store. We employ runners. We employ folks that have experience. So with that in mind, we're entrenched in the community already. So it's not some sort of prefabricated strategy to get out to the area to develop customers. It was an honest byproduct of what the community already is.
So the people who work for you are living out the life that they lead partly in your store as sales staff, is run specialists.
Yeah. We like to say it's a prerequisite you have to be a runner to work for us. Of course, that's not necessarily true, but I want everyone that is employed by Fast Break or comes into Fast Break, I want you to know that, we've had about every injury ourselves that you could possibly have. We've tried on about every shoe that you could possibly try on. There's an umpteen million pairs of shoes out there that we could potentially carry in the store. We get to hand select everything we want because we know that it works.
And so the boss really is not corporate, faraway city, but it's really the customer and your sense of your customer base. Again, all personal. These are all personal relationships.
Absolutely, that's what sets us apart, in my opinion. From a chain or a big box or a franchise trying to come into town.
Well, my listener has a kind of a hang up, Alan Outlaw, and that is he shops the dollar. He's a pragmatic person. He knows local economy has good ideas and it's kind of a sweet theory, but it's just doesn't have enough muscle in it. And what he does is he says, look, I'm going to the big box store because I know I'll get the bottom dollar price. I'll save money, and I don't really need that much help. I just need to get the product I need that serves me. And his relationship in commerce is always about, admittedly, and in a way there's nothing wrong with it, is always about himself. He's looking out for his own interest. He has rational self-interest. Okay, where is there some way how do you deal with someone like that who won't say, well, I want to have, who's not interested perhaps and not amenable or hasn't really thought about buying relationship dealings with people who provide him with an important piece of equipment in his life?
That's an excellent question, and I think if you stress about that, you're missing the point. I know that at the bottom line to keep us open every day is to sell merchandise, but
right, you have to have revenues based on sales.
That's right. But if you're prejudging everyone that comes in on price, you're never going to make a sale. So what you have to do is you have to lead with listening. You got to find out. And typically most of the folks that come in our store, I would say we have somewhere between a 90 to 95 retention rate. When they come in, they may not have been decided to buy something, but typically they're going to be a customer after they leave.
And so that your 90% retention rate, that means to say 90% of the people who come in and look come back and buy on that first visit.
That's correct.
Well, okay, so shopping the dollar is the kind of the mindset against which you're working in local economy. The dollar shopper who's concerned with price almost exclusively. I would say he's almost being an idolater of the dollar, but he's not concerned about trading. You're concerned about trading in the old agrarian sense, which brings in the relationship, because people in the country, people in olden times who were not part of the national money economy did everything by trading, and it was all done in person, and you really weren't price sensitive. You had your car repaired, your roof done, your carpentry work done, and you didn't nail down the price ahead of time necessarily. You just said, well, okay, he's in my favor. He's going to do me fair. I know he needs to make a profit, and I'm sure whatever he asks me will be fair, and I'm happy to pay it. That's an older way of thinking that has, I don't think it's gone entirely, because I think it's built into our nature, but that consumer mentality is one that you and local economy are really having to work against.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, if, you can see it at work, you can come into our shop and see that someone that is price conscious and price sensitive to come in, they don't, once the service is provided to them, it's not on the table anymore. That doesn't exist. So, it is very interesting to see.
You mean price doesn't control at that point?
Yeah, at that point, it doesn't. Certainly we try to be as competitive as we can with that, but we try not to worry about it. We try to first focus on the customer and their need. And, we're not beyond sending them somewhere else if we don't provide, what they're looking for, or, from a suggestion standpoint, we're going to say, you might be better suited to do this. And be completely happy with that, because we know we did our best job.
This is David Tulis. We're talking with Alan Outlaw, who runs Fast Break, or runs specialty shop down on Cherokee Boulevard in the North Shore. Alan, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Alan Outlaw has been a longtime runner, and he has a staff of 8 or 10 people, all of whom are runners, all of whom are devoted to the cause of running, to the society of self-propulsion by foot, legging it for fun and enhanced bodily strength. Revenue is not the sole measure of success. He says there's a cultural payback. There's a human and personal payback involving oneself in a given market. This is David Tulis. I do thank you very much for giving us a couple of minutes of your time.